Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be diving into the fascinating world of personal finance. Well, maybe not the whole world of personal finance, but one specific idea, this concept of money flow.
I like it.
Yeah, and it's not just about budgeting or pinching pennies. It's more about kind of understanding how money moves through our lives, kind of like a river.
Yeah.
And to help us with this deep dive, we're going to be drawing on some insights from our source material, Inserted Text, which really gets into this whole idea of like money as a flow, as a river.
It's a really cool way to think about things because, when you think about finances, most people think about like, individual transactions. What did I spend here? What did I earn there? But this is like a much more holistic way to look at it. It's like the overall current of your financial life rather than just like the individual ripples.
Yeah, I love that. And the source even goes so far as to say that, think about controlling a small stream
Yeah.
versus like a massive river. Obviously, a small stream is going to be way easier to manage than a massive river.
Oh, absolutely. When you're dealing with smaller sums of money, it's way easier to keep track of it. You can kind of see where it's going. But when you have this huge influx of cash, it can be overwhelming, like trying to manage a fire hose instead of a garden hose.
Exactly. And the author of this source actually tracked their finances for years, not just like a month or two, like years. They used a combination of a mobile app and spreadsheets to get this incredibly granular view of their finances. Talk about commitment.
That's impressive. I think what's really interesting about that is it gives you such a deeper understanding of your spending habits. Like if you just look at 1 month of spending, you might not see the bigger picture. But when you track it over years, you start to see patterns emerge, like, oh, I always seem to overspend on this category, or my expenses tend to go up in the summer. It's like getting a panoramic view of your finances.
Yeah, absolutely. And the source even points out that some cultures calculate salaries annually rather than monthly.
Oh, interesting.
And I just thought that was so cool, because it forces you to think about your finances on a larger scale rather than just that immediate month to month.
Right, right. It's like instead of just looking at the trees, you're looking at the whole forest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've established that tracking our income and expenses is crucial. But then the source brings up this awesome analogy of building a dam to manage the flow of money. Like, how do we actually start doing that? Like, what does that even look like?
Well, I mean, you think about a dam, it's there to capture and control the water. And so, you could think of like your savings account as your financial dam. It's where you capture a portion of your income, kind of store it up for later use.
Okay.
So, instead of just letting all your money flow out to sea, you're capturing some of it.
Yeah, so saving is like building that first layer of protection, that foundation.
Exactly. And just like a dam has spillways to regulate the water level, you might have automatic transfers set up to divert a portion of your income into savings each month.
So it's not about like stopping the flow of money altogether. It's more about creating structures to manage it effectively.
Right. Exactly.
Kind of like harnessing the power of the river, not trying to eliminate it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about finding that balance, controlling the flow without stopping it completely.
Yeah, and this whole money flow idea, it's already making me think differently about my own personal finances. It's really cool.
And that's kind of where this whole money flow concept, it becomes really empowering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not about deprivation or like super strict budgeting.
Right.
It's more about like understanding the whole system.
Right.
So you can make informed choices.
It's like we're becoming like financial hydrologists or something.
Yeah.
Studying the river and like the currents.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to best navigate our own little financial landscape.
Love that. And, one thing it really highlights is how important it is to be proactive. Right? We're not just passively watching the money flow by. We're actually engaging with it.
So it's not enough to just like track our spending. We need to actively manage it.
Exactly. And that's where things like budgeting and like setting financial goals, that's where those tools come in.
Well,
they're like
sure.
the tools that we use to shape the course of the river.
One thing that really struck me in the source was this idea that simply having more money doesn't actually solve financial problems.
Oh, that's so true.
It's easy to fall into that trap of like, if I just had a little bit more money, everything would be okay.
Oh, yeah. It's a super common misconception, But the reality is that if you don't have a good grasp on your money flow, even if you suddenly get a windfall of cash, it can disappear really quickly.
It's like suddenly having a much wider river to manage.
Right.
But without the skills or the structures in place to actually handle it.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And that's why, this whole idea of, diving deep into your finances, it's so valuable because it's about developing this like deeper understanding of your relationship with money. Oh, okay.
It goes beyond just like the numbers themselves.
So it's not just about crunching numbers. It's like about developing like a healthy financial mindset.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Being mindful of your spending habits, setting those clear financial goals, and like making conscious choices about how you're actually using your money.
The source even like hinted at investment strategies as a way to kind of create like a more powerful and resilient financial flow. I mean, that sounds like a whole other deep dive.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to that river analogy, right? Imagine like instead of just letting the river flow out to sea, you can divert some of it to, like irrigate fields or generate power.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what investments can do for your financial flow.
Whoa, interesting.
Right. They can help you grow your wealth and like actually achieve your long-term goals.
Yeah, they can give you more options, more flexibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just like navigating a river, investing requires knowledge.
And careful planning. You got to understand the risks and the potential rewards before you just jump in.
This whole conversation is really like shifting my perspective on personal finance.
Yeah.
It's not just about being like good with numbers. It's about developing a whole new way of thinking about money.
I love that. Yeah, and that's what's so cool about this whole money flow concept.
Yeah.
It's not just about budgets and spreadsheets. It's about like understanding this whole like dynamic system,
Right.
and finding the strategies that work for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. The source also talked about how, our financial lives, just like rivers, are constantly changing.
Oh, absolutely.
So we need to be adaptable.
Adaptability is so key. Just like the course of a river can be affected by droughts or floods. Our financial lives, can be impacted by unexpected events.
Right.
Job changes or like, economic shifts, like all sorts of things.
Yeah, we can't just like set it and forget it.
Nope.
We got to constantly be evaluating and like making adjustments as needed.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where that long-term tracking that we talked about earlier becomes so important because it helps you see those changes over time.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can actually like have the information to make informed decisions.
Right. It's like it gives you that historical context.
So it sounds like managing our money flow is like an ongoing process, not like a one-time fix.
Yeah. It's a journey, not a destination. But, with the right tools and the right mindset, you can navigate those changes and create a financial flow that really supports, your goals and your dreams.
Okay, so I think we've really broken down this whole, river analogy.
Yeah.
What's the one key takeaway our listeners should walk away with today? Where do they start?
Well, I think the source, gives a really clear first step.
Right.
It all starts with awareness, so like grab a notebook or download an app or, fire up a spreadsheet, like whatever works best for you.
Yeah, whatever your method is.
Exactly. The important thing is to just start like consistently tracking your income and your expenses.
And we're not just talking about like doing it for a month or two, right?
No.
It's that long-term tracking.
Yeah. The real magic happens when you commit to the long term.
Okay, so it's like keeping a financial journal almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just about the numbers themselves. It's about like gaining that self-awareness and like understanding your habits over time.
This deep dive has definitely been like eye-opening for me. It's given me a whole new perspective on my own finances. Yeah. And it's not about like stressing over every penny.
Right.
It's more about stepping back and understanding the bigger picture of my own personal money flow.
And remember, just like a river, our financial lives are always changing and evolving.
Right.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
But with the right tools and the right mindset, you can navigate those changes and create a financial flow that really supports your goals and dreams.
Okay, so to wrap things up, I have one final thought-provoking question for our listeners, inspired by everything we've talked about today.
Okay.
If money is like a river, what kind of river is yours? Is it a raging torrent that you're struggling to control? Or is it a gentle stream that you're starting to, like, harness and manage?
That's a great question for everyone to think about, know? And no matter what your river looks like today, just remember that you have the power to change its course.
That's a great point. Well, this has been another fascinating deep dive. We'll be back soon to explore more intriguing topics. Until then, happy flowing.